Seduction. Seduction isn't just an art, it's a science. In the forbidden science of seduction, manipulating attraction, you'll uncover the hidden psychological triggers that spark desire, the subtle strategies that sustain intrigue, and the powerful techniques that turn fleeting attraction into lasting devotion. From body language mastery to the dark psychology of influence, this book peels back the layers of human connection, revealing how attraction truly works, both in face-to-face encounters and in today's digital world. You'll learn how to exude magnetic charisma, command emotional influence, and navigate the fine line between persuasion and manipulation. But with great power comes great responsibility. This book doesn't just teach you how to seduce, it challenges you to ask why. Drawing from history's most legendary seducers and cutting-edge behavioral science, the forbidden science of seduction goes beyond superficial charm, guiding you toward deeper, more meaningful connections built on trust, authenticity, and lasting impact. Are you ready to master the forbidden science? Step inside, and discover what truly makes someone irresistible. Introduction. Let me take you back to a time before the written word, when humans communicated through gestures and glances. In those primal days, survival depended not only on brute strength but also on something far more subtle, a magnetic pull that could draw others toward us, an invisible force we now call attraction. This was no mere accident of biology, it was a skill honed over millennia, refined by trial and error, passed down in whispers from one generation to the next. And yet today, this ancient art has been cloaked in mystery, dismissed as frivolous or relegated to the realm of chance. But what if I told you there is a science behind seduction? A methodical approach to understanding human desire so profound that it can feel like sorcery? The hidden psychology of seduction. Imagine walking into a crowded room, your senses alive with possibility. The air hums with energy, laughter ricochets off walls, eyes dart nervously, searching for connection. You see someone across the way who catches your attention. Their presence seems almost otherworldly, commanding without effort, magnetic without trying too hard. What is it about them? Is it their smile? Their posture? Or is it something deeper, something intangible yet undeniable? Seduction operates at the intersection of psychology and instinct. It taps into the primal wiring of our brains, exploiting vulnerabilities and desires we often don't even realize exist within ourselves. To understand seduction is to peer beneath the surface of human interaction, to uncover the hidden mechanisms that govern how we perceive, react, and connect with others. Consider the concept of mirroring, the unconscious act of mimicking another person's body language, tone of voice, or emotional state. When done subtly, mirroring creates a sense of familiarity and trust, making the other person feel seen and understood. It's why lovers often finish each other's sentences or adopt similar mannerisms after spending time together. But here's the secret: mirroring isn't just a natural phenomenon, it can be deliberately cultivated. By observing and reflecting someone's behavior, you create a bridge between yourself and them, forging a bond that feels effortless but is anything but random. Then there's the power of scarcity. Think about the allure of forbidden fruit. Why does something become more desirable simply because it appears unattainable? Our brains are wired to value rarity, to chase what seems just out of reach. Seductive individuals know this instinctively, they never give everything away at once. They leave breadcrumbs of intrigue, allowing curiosity to simmer until it boils over into obsession. This principle applies not only to romantic relationships but to any form of influence. Scarcity breeds longing, and longing drives action. But perhaps the most potent psychological tool in the arsenal of seduction is storytelling. Humans are narrative creatures, we make sense of the world through stories. A skilled seducer doesn't merely present facts or attributes, they weave a tale that captivates the imagination. They paint pictures with words, creating vivid scenes that linger in the mind long after the conversation ends. Whether it's recounting an adventure, sharing a personal struggle, or describing a dream yet unfulfilled, the storyteller invites the listener into their world, making them eager to stay. Why seduction is a science, not just an art. Now, let's dispel a common misconception: seduction is not some mystical talent reserved for the charming few. Yes, charisma plays a role, but true mastery lies in understanding the underlying principles, the laws of attraction that govern all human interactions. These principles are universal, applicable across cultures, genders, and contexts. Like gravity, they operate whether we acknowledge them or not. To treat seduction as an art alone is to overlook its foundation in observable patterns and predictable behaviors. For instance, studies in neuroscience reveal that dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, is released during moments of anticipation. This explains why teasing and playful banter are so effective: they keep the brain engaged, craving resolution. Similarly, research in evolutionary psychology shows that symmetry and physical health indicators, like clear skin and bright eyes, trigger automatic responses of attraction. Understanding these biological cues allows us to enhance our appeal consciously. Think of seduction as akin to architecture. An architect doesn't rely solely on inspiration to design a building; they must understand physics, materials, and structural integrity. Likewise, a seducer must grasp the mechanics of human emotion, perception, and motivation. Only then can they construct an experience that feels both spontaneous and inevitable. Take, for example, the principle of escalation. In any relationship, whether platonic or romantic, progress requires gradual steps forward. Too much intensity too soon overwhelms, too little leaves the other person disengaged. The key is to calibrate your approach, reading the signals and adjusting accordingly. A light touch becomes a lingering hand on the arm, which evolves into a gentle embrace. Each step builds upon the last, creating momentum while maintaining balance. This process is neither haphazard nor accidental; it's calculated, deliberate, and deeply rooted in human nature. Ethical considerations: power versus responsibility. Here we arrive at the heart of the matter, the ethical dimension of seduction. With great power comes great responsibility, as the saying goes, and nowhere is this truer than in the realm of attraction. The tools of seduction are neutral; they can be used to uplift or manipulate, to inspire or exploit. The choice lies entirely with the wielder. There is a fine line between influencing someone and controlling them. Influence respects autonomy, offering options and empowering the other person to make their own decisions. Control, on the other hand, seeks to override free will, bending someone to your desires regardless of their wishes. The former fosters mutual respect and genuine connection; the latter breeds resentment and distrust. Consider the case of flattery. Compliments, when sincere, have the power to brighten someone's day and strengthen bonds. But when insincere or excessive, flattery becomes manipulative, undermining authenticity and eroding trust. The difference lies in intent. Are you praising someone to boost their confidence, or are you buttering them up to serve your agenda? Your motives shape the outcome. Moreover, seduction carries inherent risks. Playing with emotions is a delicate game, and missteps can lead to unintended consequences. Hearts can be broken, reputations tarnished, lives altered. Before embarking on this path, ask yourself, what is my goal? Am I seeking meaningful connection, or am I driven by ego, insecurity, or a need for validation? Clarity of purpose is essential, for without it, even the best intentions can veer off course. Ultimately, the ethics of seduction boil down to empathy. True seducers are not predators preying on weakness, they are students of human nature, attuned to the needs and desires of others. They recognize that every interaction is a dance, requiring mutual consent and cooperation. They understand that the highest form of seduction is not about conquest but about co-creation, a shared journey where both parties emerge enriched. So, dear reader, as you delve deeper into the forbidden science of seduction, remember this: knowledge is neither good nor evil, it is how we choose to use it that defines us. Will you wield these insights responsibly, crafting connections that elevate and inspire? Or will you succumb to the darker impulses, using your newfound power for selfish gain? The choice is yours. But tread carefully, for the path of seduction is fraught with peril and promise. Chapter 1. The Foundations of Attraction. The Biological Triggers of Desire. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine standing in the middle of an ancient forest, sunlight filtering through the canopy above, casting dappled shadows on the ground below. You hear the distant rustle of leaves, the faint call of birds echoing through the trees. Suddenly, your senses sharpen, you catch a whiff of something unfamiliar yet strangely compelling. Your heart quickens, your palms grow damp, and an inexplicable urge takes hold of you. What is it? Fear? Curiosity? Or perhaps, desire? Desire, that primal force coursing through our veins, is older than civilization itself. It predates language, culture, even morality. At its core, desire is biological, a survival mechanism encoded into our DNA to ensure the continuation of life. But what exactly triggers this powerful emotion? How does the body orchestrate such a symphony of sensations when we encounter someone who stirs us? To answer these questions, we must journey deep within ourselves, into the labyrinthine corridors of the brain, where chemicals reign supreme and emotions are born. The role of dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. If attraction were a play, dopamine would be the lead actor, the charismatic star whose presence electrifies the stage. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter because it floods the brain during moments of pleasure and anticipation. When you see someone who captivates you, whether it's their smile, their confidence, or simply the way they carry themselves, your brain releases a surge of dopamine. This chemical rush creates a sense of euphoria, making you crave more of whatever, or whoever, sparked it. But here's the fascinating part: dopamine isn't just about reward, it's also about anticipation. Think about the thrill of chasing after something elusive, like waiting for a text message from someone special or planning a first date. That tingling excitement. That's dopamine at work, keeping you hooked by dangling the promise of future satisfaction. In fact, studies show that the anticipation phase can sometimes feel more exhilarating than the actual reward itself. This explains why seductive individuals often employ tactics like delayed gratification. They keep you guessing, feeding your brain small doses of dopamine while leaving you hungry for more. Now enter oxytocin, the unsung hero of human connection. Often called the bonding hormone, oxytocin plays a crucial role in forming emotional attachments. It's released during intimate moments, whether physical touch, eye contact, or heartfelt conversation, and acts as a glue that binds people together. Have you ever noticed how hugging someone you care about makes you feel instantly closer to them? That's oxytocin weaving its magic, fostering trust and deepening bonds. In the context of attraction, oxytocin transforms fleeting infatuation into lasting affection. While dopamine ignites the flame of desire, oxytocin keeps it burning steadily. Together, these two chemicals form a dynamic duo, driving both the initial spark and the enduring connection that follows. Finally, there's serotonin, the regulator of mood and stability. Unlike dopamine, which thrives on unpredictability, serotonin seeks balance and contentment. Low levels of serotonin are associated with obsessive thoughts, which might explain why new romances often feel all-consuming. Your mind fixates on the object of your affection, replaying every interaction, analyzing every word. As time passes and serotonin levels stabilize, those obsessive tendencies fade, replaced by a calmer, more grounded attachment. Understanding the interplay between these three neurotransmitters gives us insight into the ebb and flow of attraction. Dopamine fuels passion, oxytocin builds intimacy, and serotonin restores equilibrium. Each has its moment in the spotlight, contributing to the intricate dance of human relationships. Understanding primal instincts and social conditioning. While biology lays the groundwork for attraction, it doesn't operate in isolation. Our desires are shaped not only by internal chemistry but also by external forces, primal instincts honed over millions of years and social conditioning imposed by modern society. Consider the role of primal instincts. Evolutionary psychology teaches us that humans are wired to seek mates who exhibit signs of health, fertility, and genetic fitness. For men, this often translates to preferences for youthful features, clear skin, and symmetrical faces, all indicators of reproductive potential. Women, on the other hand, tend to prioritize traits like strength, resourcefulness, and emotional stability, qualities historically linked to protection and provision. These instincts aren't conscious decisions, they're hardwired responses designed to maximize survival chances. Yet, despite their universality, they manifest differently across cultures due to the influence of social norms. Take beauty standards, for example. In some societies, voluptuous figures symbolize wealth and abundance, while in others, slim silhouettes signify discipline and elegance. These variations highlight the tension between nature and nurture, the eternal tug-of-war between innate drives and learned behaviors. Social conditioning further complicates matters. From childhood, we absorb messages about love, relationships, and desirability through media, family, and peers. Fairy tales tell us that princes rescue princesses, reinforcing traditional gender roles. Romantic comedies portray whirlwind romances, setting unrealistic expectations. Even casual comments, "You'd look prettier if you smiled more," or "Men don't cry," shape how we perceive ourselves and others. This dual influence, biology and culture, creates a complex tapestry of attraction. On one hand, we're drawn to certain traits instinctively, without fully understanding why. On the other hand, societal pressures dictate what we should find attractive, often overriding our natural inclinations. Navigating this landscape requires self-awareness and discernment. Are you genuinely attracted to someone, or are you responding to conditioned ideals? Do your desires align with your values, or are they products of external programming? The dance of instinct and intellect. Attraction, then, is neither purely biological nor entirely cultural, it's a delicate balance between the two. To master the art of seduction, you must learn to harmonize these forces, using your knowledge of human nature to create authentic connections. Start by tuning into your own instincts. Pay attention to the subtle cues that signal interest, the flutter in your chest, the warmth spreading through your limbs, the involuntary smile tugging at your lips. These visceral reactions are your body's way of communicating what resonates with you on a fundamental level. Trust them, but don't let them dominate. At the same time, challenge the narratives imposed upon you by society. Question the assumptions you've inherited about beauty, success, and romance. Ask yourself, who am I truly drawn to, beneath the layers of expectation and convention? By peeling back these artificial constructs, you uncover the raw essence of attraction, the unfiltered truth of what moves you. And remember, the goal of understanding attraction is not manipulation but empowerment. Armed with knowledge of biology and psychology, you gain the ability to navigate relationships with greater clarity and intention. You become not just a participant in the game of seduction but a master of its rules. So step boldly into this world of desire, dear reader. Embrace the science behind the spark, the chemistry fueling the connection. Let curiosity guide you, empathy anchor you, and wisdom illuminate your path. For in the end, attraction is not merely about capturing hearts, it's about touching souls. Chapter 2. The Dark Psychology of Seduction. Let me take you back to the smoky salons of 19th-century Paris, where aristocrats whispered secrets behind gloved hands and poets scribbled verses in dim candlelight. In these shadowy corners, seduction was not merely an art, it was a weapon. A well-timed glance could disarm even the most guarded soul, a carefully chosen word could unravel years of restraint. It wasn't about brute force or overt persuasion but something far more insidious, the ability to manipulate emotions, exploit vulnerabilities, and wield power so subtly that the victim never saw it coming. This is the dark underbelly of seduction, a realm where charm becomes cunning, attraction turns into strategy, and desire morphs into control. Welcome to the labyrinth of human psychology, where mystery reigns supreme, emotional manipulation dances like a ghost through the corridors of the mind, and dominance whispers its commands without ever raising its voice. Let us descend together into this forbidden territory, for within its depths lie secrets that can make or break hearts, fortunes, and destinies. The power of mystery and intrigue. There is an old saying among magicians, never reveal how the trick works. Why? Because the moment the audience understands the mechanics, the magic evaporates. Seduction operates on the same principle. To captivate someone fully, you must remain elusive, shrouded in layers of intrigue that invite curiosity but resist resolution. People are drawn to what they cannot fully grasp, it's the eternal allure of the unknown. Think of the enigmatic stranger at a party who speaks in riddles, their eyes glinting with secrets untold. They don't dominate the room with loud declarations or flashy gestures, instead, they linger at the edges, exuding quiet confidence. You find yourself stealing glances, wondering what lies beneath their composed exterior. Who are they? What do they want? And why does your pulse quicken every time their gaze meets yours? Mystery works because it taps into our innate need for discovery. Humans are natural problem solvers, we crave puzzles to solve, stories to decode, mysteries to unravel. When someone presents themselves as an open book, we lose interest quickly. But when they offer only fragments, leaving gaps for our imagination to fill, we become obsessed. Our minds race to piece together the narrative, to uncover the truth hidden just out of reach. To master the art of mystery, you must learn the delicate balance between revelation and concealment. Reveal too much, and you risk becoming predictable. Reveal too little, and you may come across as aloof or disinterested. The key is to drop breadcrumbs, small hints, cryptic remarks, fleeting moments of vulnerability, that keep the other person engaged without satisfying their hunger entirely. For instance, sharing a personal anecdote laced with ambiguity, "I once did something I'll never forget," can ignite curiosity without giving away the full story. Or adopting a playful tone that alternates between warmth and distance keeps the other person guessing, eager to decipher your true intentions. But beware, mystery is a double-edged sword. While it can heighten attraction, it can also breed mistrust if overused. The goal is not to deceive but to fascinate, to create an aura of depth that invites exploration rather than suspicion. True masters of seduction know when to lift the veil slightly, offering glimpses of authenticity that reassure the other person they're dealing with a real human being, not a mirage. Emotional manipulation tactics. Now let us delve deeper into the darker waters of seduction, where emotions serve as both currency and weaponry. Emotional manipulation is the art of influencing someone's feelings to steer their actions in your favor. It's a subtle dance, one that requires precision, timing, and an acute understanding of human nature. Done skillfully, it leaves no trace of coercion, making the manipulated believe they acted of their own free will. One of the most potent tools in this arsenal is validation. Everyone craves affirmation, whether consciously or unconsciously. By validating someone's thoughts, feelings, or desires, you tap into their deepest yearnings for acceptance and approval. Compliments work wonders here, but not generic ones. Instead, focus on specific qualities that resonate deeply with the individual. For example, telling someone, "You have a way of lighting up a room without even trying," feels far more meaningful than a bland, "You're nice." Such targeted praise makes them feel seen and valued, creating a subconscious bond between you. Another powerful tactic is mirroring emotions. This involves reflecting the other person's mood or emotional state, amplifying it in a way that strengthens your connection. If they express excitement, match their enthusiasm. If they share sadness, offer empathy and support. Mirroring creates a sense of unity, as though you're experiencing life alongside them. However, skilled manipulators take this further by subtly guiding the emotional trajectory. For instance, if someone is feeling insecure, you might gently steer the conversation toward topics that boost their confidence, positioning yourself as their anchor in turbulent waters. Then there's the use of negative reinforcement, a technique that exploits discomfort to drive behavior. Imagine planting seeds of doubt in someone's mind, only to swoop in as their savior. Perhaps you hint at potential rejection from others, "Not everyone appreciates brilliance like yours," then follow up with reassurance, "But I see the real you, and that's rare." This push and pull dynamic keeps the other person tethered to you, seeking validation and relief from the tension you've created. Yet perhaps the most insidious form of emotional manipulation is gaslighting, the act of distorting reality to make someone question their own perceptions. While this tactic crosses ethical boundaries and should be approached with caution, it's worth noting how effective it can be in maintaining control. By sowing confusion and undermining certainty, you render the other person dependent on your version of events. Again, tread lightly here, for gaslighting erodes trust and damages relationships irreparably if discovered. The key to wielding emotional manipulation responsibly lies in intent. Are you using these tactics to build genuine rapport, or are you exploiting weaknesses for selfish gain? Remember, seduction thrives on reciprocity. Manipulate emotions solely for personal benefit, and you risk alienating the very person you seek to attract. The subtle use of power and dominance. Power is intoxicating. It commands attention, inspires awe, and bends others to your will. Yet in the world of seduction, overt displays of dominance often backfire. No one wants to feel dominated, they want to feel desired, cherished, and respected. The true art lies in exerting power so subtly that the other person doesn't realize they're submitting to it. Consider the concept of soft dominance. Unlike aggressive authority figures who demand compliance, soft dominators lead by example, exuding quiet confidence that inspires admiration. Their strength is understated yet undeniable. They speak with conviction but listen intently. They set boundaries without appearing rigid. They guide conversations without monopolizing them. In short, they embody the paradox of power, commanding respect while remaining approachable. One hallmark of soft dominance is the ability to frame situations in your favor. Framing refers to shaping how others perceive reality by controlling the context and narrative. For instance, instead of outright rejecting someone's idea, you might reframe it positively. That's an interesting perspective. I wonder how we could adapt it to fit our goals. This reframing acknowledges their input while steering the outcome toward your preference, all without triggering defensiveness. Another facet of dominance is timing. Those who understand the rhythm of interaction know exactly when to assert themselves and when to yield. Picture a chess player who sacrifices a pawn to capture the queen. Similarly, seductive individuals know when to concede minor points to win larger victories. Yielding temporarily can actually enhance your perceived power, as it demonstrates self-assurance and strategic thinking. Body language also plays a critical role in conveying dominance. Posture, eye contact, and gestures communicate volumes before a single word is spoken. Standing tall with relaxed shoulders signals confidence, while prolonged eye contact conveys intensity and focus. Even small details, like tilting your head slightly during conversation, project attentiveness without submission. These nonverbal cues reinforce your presence, ensuring that others instinctively defer to you, even if they can't articulate why. However, dominance must always be tempered with empathy. Excessive control breeds resentment, while balanced leadership fosters loyalty. The most magnetic individuals combine strength with compassion, creating an irresistible blend of authority and warmth. They don't crush opposition, they dissolve it with understanding. They don't impose their will, they align it with the desires of others. Walking the tightrope. As we emerge from the shadows of this chapter, let us reflect on the lessons learned. Mystery captivates the mind, emotional manipulation shapes the heart, and dominance guides the spirit. Together, these elements form the backbone of seduction's darker side, a realm where power and psychology intertwine in ways both beautiful and dangerous. But remember, dear reader, seduction is not inherently evil. Like fire, it can warm or destroy, depending on how it's wielded. Approach these techniques with humility and integrity, recognizing their potential to harm as well as heal. Use them not to dominate but to connect, not to deceive but to inspire. For in the end, the greatest triumph of seduction is not conquest, it's transformation. Transform yourself into someone worthy of admiration, and watch as the world falls under your spell. Chapter 3. Mastering the Art of Charisma. Imagine walking into a room filled with strangers, and yet every eye seems drawn to you. You haven't said a word, but already people are leaning in your direction, their curiosity piqued. It's as though an invisible force surrounds you, a magnetic energy that pulls others closer without effort. What is this mysterious quality? Some call it charm, others refer to it as magnetism. But what we're really talking about here is charisma. And charisma, my dear reader, is not some mystical gift bestowed upon the lucky few, it's a skill, one that can be cultivated, refined, and mastered. In this chapter, we will uncover the secrets behind charismatic allure. We'll explore how body language speaks louder than words, how eye contact can pierce through defenses, and how touch, when used wisely, can forge unbreakable bonds. Finally, we'll delve into the alchemy of confidence, revealing how to cultivate an aura so commanding that it leaves others spellbound. Let us begin. Body language secrets for instant magnetism. Before you utter your first syllable, your body has already spoken volumes. Your posture, gestures, and facial expressions form a silent symphony that broadcasts your intentions, emotions, and even your self-worth. To master charisma, you must first learn to control this nonverbal orchestra, ensuring that each movement harmonizes with the image you wish to project. Let's start with posture, the foundation of all body language. Picture two individuals standing side by side, one slouches, shoulders hunched forward, head tilted down, while the other stands tall, chest open, chin slightly raised. Who commands attention? The answer is obvious. Good posture signals strength, poise, and presence. When you stand upright, you occupy space confidently, sending a subconscious message to those around you, I belong here. But posture alone isn't enough. Movement matters too. Notice how naturally charismatic people glide through a room, their motions fluid and deliberate. They don't fidget or shuffle awkwardly, they move with purpose, as if choreographed by an unseen hand. This kind of grace comes from mindfulness. Pay attention to how you carry yourself. Are your steps hurried and erratic, or calm and measured? Do your hands flail aimlessly during conversation, or do they punctuate your words with precision? Facial expressions also play a crucial role. A warm smile can disarm even the most guarded individual, while a furrowed brow might signal tension or disapproval. Practice softening your features, allowing your face to reflect openness and receptivity. Smile often, but sparingly. Overdoing it can come across as insincere, while withholding it entirely may make you appear cold or aloof. Strike a balance, let your smile emerge naturally, time to coincide with moments of genuine connection. Lastly, consider proximity, the physical distance you maintain between yourself and others. Invading someone's personal space can feel invasive, while staying too far away might suggest disinterest. The sweet spot lies in finding the right balance, adjusting based on context and comfort levels. Lean in slightly when listening intently, signaling engagement. Step back occasionally to give the other person breathing room. These subtle adjustments create a rhythm of intimacy and respect, drawing people closer without overwhelming them. The psychology of eye contact and touch. If body language is the melody of charisma, then eye contact is its crescendo, the moment when everything else fades away, leaving only the raw exchange of souls. Few things are as powerful, or as intimate, as locking eyes with another human being. Done correctly, eye contact can convey trust, vulnerability, and deep understanding. Misused, however, it can intimidate or alienate. The key to effective eye contact lies in duration and intensity. Too brief, and you risk seeming evasive or uninterested. Too prolonged, and you may unsettle the other person. Aim for a natural rhythm, hold their gaze long enough to establish connection, then break it momentarily before returning. This pattern mimics the ebb and flow of conversation, creating a sense of continuity and rapport. Moreover, pay attention to where your eyes land. While direct eye contact builds trust, occasional glances at the mouth or forehead can soften the interaction, making it feel less intense. Conversely, avoiding eye contact altogether sends a clear message, I don't want to engage. So whether you're speaking or listening, keep your focus steady, letting your eyes serve as windows to your sincerity. Now let's talk about touch, the most primal form of communication. From infancy, humans crave tactile connection. A gentle pat on the shoulder, a reassuring squeeze of the hand, or a playful nudge can communicate volumes without uttering a single word. But like fire, touch must be handled with care. Used appropriately, it fosters intimacy and trust. Misapplied, it can repel or offend. The secret lies in reading social cues. Is the other person comfortable with physical contact? If unsure, err on the side of caution, opting for light, non-intrusive gestures. For example, brushing against someone's arm while laughing at a shared joke feels organic and spontaneous. On the other hand, reaching out unexpectedly or lingering too long can cross boundaries, undermining the connection you're trying to build. Timing is equally important. Touch should enhance, not interrupt, the flow of interaction. Wait for natural pauses or moments of heightened emotion, such as congratulations or condolences. By aligning your actions with the emotional tone of the situation, you ensure that your touch feels authentic rather than forced. How to cultivate an aura of confidence. Confidence is the cornerstone of charisma. Without it, even the most polished body language and piercing eye contact ring hollow. People are drawn to those who exude assurance, who radiate a quiet belief in their own worth. But confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you cultivate, day by day, choice by choice. Start by addressing your inner dialogue. Many of us sabotage our confidence with negative self-talk. I'm not smart enough, I don't look good today, no one cares what I have to say. These thoughts become self-fulfilling prophecies, shaping how we present ourselves to the world. To counteract this, practice reframing your mindset. Instead of focusing on flaws, highlight strengths. Remind yourself of past successes, no matter how small. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Next, embrace discomfort. Confidence grows when you step outside your comfort zone, confronting fears and pushing limits. Whether it's initiating a conversation with a stranger, speaking up in a meeting, or trying a new activity, each act of courage reinforces your belief in your abilities. Over time, these small victories accumulate, building a reservoir of resilience that fuels your charisma. Appearance also plays a role in projecting confidence. Dressing well doesn't mean adhering to rigid fashion rules, it means wearing clothes that make you feel empowered. Choose outfits that fit properly, flatter your physique, and reflect your personality. Grooming matters too. Cleanliness and neatness signal self-respect, which in turn earns respect from others. Finally, adopt the habits of confident individuals. Walk with purpose, shoulders back, head held high. Speak clearly and audibly, avoiding filler words like or Maintain open body language, resisting the urge to cross arms or hunch over. Each of these behaviors reinforces your internal sense of authority, making it easier to embody the charisma you seek. The alchemy of charisma. As we conclude this exploration of charisma, remember that true magnetism arises from authenticity. Yes, technique is important, but it's merely the scaffolding. The real magic happens when you infuse those techniques with sincerity, passion, and empathy. Charismatic individuals aren't pretending to be someone they're not, they're amplifying the best versions of themselves. So go forth, dear reader, armed with the tools of body language, eye contact, touch, and confidence. Use them wisely, weaving them into the fabric of your interactions. Watch as doors open, connections deepen, and opportunities unfold. For charisma is more than a skill, it's a way of being. And once you master it, the world becomes yours to command. Chapter 4. The Science of Persuasive Communication. Imagine standing in a dimly lit room, the air thick with anticipation. Across from you sits someone whose attention you've managed to capture, but only for now. The challenge lies ahead: how do you keep them hooked? How do you turn fleeting interest into unwavering fascination? This is where the science of persuasive communication comes into play. It's not about force or coercion, it's about finesse. It's about planting seeds of thought so subtly that they grow roots without the other person realizing it. In this chapter, we will delve into the intricate mechanics of persuasion, the art of bending minds without breaking spirits. We'll explore the role of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, a psychological framework that deciphers the language of the subconscious mind. We'll uncover the power of subtle suggestion and framing, tools that allow you to shape reality itself through carefully chosen words. And finally, we'll examine how to create emotional dependency, forging bonds so strong that they become almost impossible to sever. Let us embark on this journey into the labyrinth of human cognition, where every word carries weight and every phrase holds potential. The role of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, in seduction. At its core, NLP is the study of how language influences thought and behavior. Developed in the 1970s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, NLP seeks to decode the patterns of communication used by highly effective individuals, therapists, salespeople, leaders, and replicate those patterns to achieve similar results. In the realm of seduction, NLP becomes a master key, unlocking the hidden chambers of the human psyche. One of the foundational principles of NLP is mirroring and matching. While we touched on this briefly in earlier chapters, let's dive deeper. Mirroring isn't just about copying body language, it extends to speech patterns, vocabulary, and even emotional states. When you mirror someone's verbal cadence or adopt their preferred metaphors, you create a subconscious sense of familiarity. They begin to feel as though you're speaking their language, literally and figuratively. This alignment fosters rapport, making them more receptive to your influence. Another powerful NLP technique is anchoring. Anchoring involves associating a specific stimulus, such as a touch, word, or gesture, with a particular emotional state. For example, imagine lightly touching someone's arm while sharing a heartfelt story. Over time, that touch becomes linked to feelings of warmth and connection. Later, when you repeat the same gesture, you can trigger those emotions again, reinforcing the bond between you. But perhaps the most seductive aspect of NLP is its ability to reframe perceptions. Through clever use of language, you can shift someone's focus from doubt to certainty, from resistance to acceptance. Consider the difference between saying, "Why are you hesitating?" versus, "What makes you feel unsure?" The first phrasing implies judgment, which may provoke defensiveness. The second invites exploration, encouraging the other person to open up rather than shut down. By mastering these linguistic nuances, you gain the power to guide conversations, and ultimately, decisions, without ever appearing pushy. The power of subtle suggestion and framing. If NLP is the blueprint for persuasive communication, then subtle suggestion is the scaffolding that holds it all together. Suggestions work best when they bypass conscious scrutiny, slipping past the logical filters of the mind and embedding themselves directly into the subconscious. The trick is to make your suggestions sound like natural extensions of the other person's thoughts, rather than external commands. Take, for instance, the art of presupposition. A presupposition is an underlying assumption embedded within a statement. For example, instead of asking, "Do you want to go out with me?" which leaves room for rejection, you might say, "When would be a good time for us to meet?" The latter assumes agreement, framing the interaction as inevitable. People tend to respond to what's presented as reality, even if that reality is constructed through subtle implication. Framing takes this concept a step further by shaping the context in which information is received. Think of framing as setting the stage for a performance. If you frame yourself as confident and desirable, others will perceive you accordingly. Conversely, if you frame yourself as insecure or needy, that perception sticks too. One way to harness the power of framing is through storytelling. Instead of listing your qualities outright, weave them into narratives that highlight your strengths indirectly. For example, recounting a tale of overcoming adversity subtly positions you as resilient and resourceful, traits that naturally attract admiration. Timing also plays a critical role in both suggestion and framing. Just as a comedian waits for the perfect moment to deliver a punchline, you must gauge when to introduce your ideas. Drop a suggestion too early, and it risks falling flat. Wait too long, and the opportunity passes. The ideal timing occurs during moments of heightened emotion, when someone is laughing, reflecting, or otherwise engaged. At such times, their defenses are lowered, making them more susceptible to your influence. How to create emotional dependency. Now we arrive at the pinnacle of persuasive communication, creating emotional dependency. Emotional dependency doesn't mean controlling someone's every move, it means becoming indispensable to their happiness and fulfillment. When done ethically, this process strengthens relationships by fostering mutual support and trust. However, it requires finesse and empathy to avoid crossing into manipulation. The foundation of emotional dependency lies in validation. Everyone craves affirmation, whether they admit it or not. By consistently validating someone's feelings, dreams, and struggles, you position yourself as a source of comfort and understanding. But validation alone isn't enough. To deepen the connection, you must also offer unique value, something no one else can provide. This could be a shared experience, a special nickname, or a ritual that belongs exclusively to the two of you. These small but significant details reinforce the idea that your relationship is irreplaceable. Another key element is intermittent reinforcement, a psychological phenomenon wherein unpredictable rewards amplify attachment. Think of slot machines. Players keep pulling the lever because they never know when the jackpot will hit. Similarly, alternating between moments of intense closeness and brief periods of distance keeps the other person emotionally invested. Be present when it matters most, but don't overstay your welcome. Leave them wanting more, and they'll find themselves yearning for your return. Finally, cultivate a sense of shared identity. Humans are tribal creatures, we gravitate toward those who reflect our values, aspirations, and quirks. By aligning yourself with the other person's worldview, you blur the lines between you and me, creating a unified us. Share inside jokes, reminisce about shared memories, and celebrate milestones together. Each of these actions reinforces the belief that your lives are intertwined, making separation unthinkable. Walking the tightrope of influence. As we conclude this chapter, let us pause to reflect on the delicate balance required to wield persuasive communication effectively. Techniques like NLP, subtle suggestion, and emotional dependency are incredibly potent, but they come with great responsibility. Use them to uplift, inspire, and connect, and you'll forge relationships built on mutual respect and admiration. Exploit them for selfish gain, and you risk alienating those you seek to attract. True mastery of persuasion lies not in domination but in collaboration. It's about guiding others toward outcomes that benefit everyone involved. When you approach communication with authenticity and empathy, you transform mere words into bridges that span hearts and minds. So go forth, armed with the knowledge of how to speak directly to the soul. Speak softly, act deliberately, and watch as the world bends, not to your will, but to your vision. Chapter 5. Psychological Triggers for Instant Attraction. Picture this: you're standing in an art gallery, surrounded by paintings that seem to shimmer with life. But there's one piece tucked away in the corner, a rare masterpiece, its price tag marked "sold." Suddenly, your interest spikes. Why? Because something about its unavailability ignites a spark within you. What was once just another painting now feels like a treasure you'll never possess. This is the paradox of attraction. What we can't have often becomes what we want most. In this chapter, we will explore the psychological triggers that ignite instant attraction, pulling people toward us like moths to a flame. We'll uncover how scarcity and the fear of loss tap into our deepest insecurities and desires. We'll delve into the subtle art of mirroring and emotional synchronization, creating bonds so seamless they feel predestined. And finally, we'll examine the tantalizing power of uncertainty, keeping others perpetually intrigued and yearning for more. These are not tricks or gimmicks, they are universal principles of human behavior, waiting to be harnessed. Let us begin. Scarcity and the fear of loss. There's a reason why limited edition items fly off shelves and exclusive events sell out in minutes. Scarcity taps into one of humanity's oldest fears, the fear of missing out, FOMO. When something is scarce, it automatically becomes more valuable. Our brains equate rarity with importance, triggering a primal urge to secure what might soon slip away. This principle applies just as powerfully to relationships as it does to material goods. People are naturally drawn to those who seem just out of reach, not because they're cruel or aloof, but because their elusiveness suggests worthiness. Think about the allure of someone who doesn't chase after affection, who maintains a sense of independence even while expressing interest. Their scarcity signals confidence, which in turn amplifies their desirability. To leverage scarcity effectively, you must strike a balance between availability and detachment. Be present when it counts, but don't overcommit. Show genuine enthusiasm without appearing desperate. For example, instead of texting constantly or agreeing to every plan, sprinkle moments of absence into your interactions. A well-timed delay in responding to a message can create anticipation, leaving the other person wondering where you've gone, and when you'll return. The flip side of scarcity is the fear of loss, which operates on a similar psychological mechanism. Once someone has tasted the sweetness of connection with you, the thought of losing it becomes unbearable. To activate this trigger, focus on building positive experiences early in your relationship, shared laughter, meaningful conversations, small acts of kindness. Then, introduce occasional elements of unpredictability. Perhaps you hint at future plans but leave details vague, or express gratitude for their presence while subtly reminding them how special your bond is. By doing so, you plant the seed of potential loss, ensuring they cherish what they have all the more. The power of mirroring and emotional synchronization. Now let's turn our attention to mirroring, a technique so powerful that it can make someone feel as though they've known you forever, even if you've only just met. Mirroring isn't mimicry, it's the art of reflecting another person's energy, emotions, and communication style back to them in a way that feels natural and intuitive. At its simplest level, mirroring involves matching body language. If the other person leans forward during conversation, lean forward too. If they cross their legs, subtly adjust yours to mirror theirs. These nonverbal cues create a subconscious sense of harmony, signaling that you're on the same wavelength. Studies show that people who are mirrored tend to feel more comfortable and trusting, making them more likely to open up emotionally. But true mastery lies in taking mirroring beyond physical gestures to encompass emotional states. This is called emotional synchronization, the ability to tune into someone's mood and respond accordingly. If they're excited, amplify their excitement. If they're reflective, offer thoughtful insights. By aligning yourself with their emotional rhythm, you become a safe harbor where they can fully express themselves. One advanced application of emotional synchronization is pacing and leading. Pacing involves matching the other person's current state, whether it's calmness, enthusiasm, or concern, to establish rapport. Once synchronized, you can gently guide them toward a new emotional state. For instance, if someone seems anxious, first acknowledge their feelings. "I understand why you'd feel that way," then introduce calming reassurance, "but I believe everything will work out." This transition feels seamless because it builds upon their existing emotions rather than opposing them. Mirroring and emotional synchronization are particularly effective in seduction because they foster a deep sense of connection. When someone feels truly understood, they're far more likely to develop strong feelings of attachment. The key is subtlety. Overdo it, and you risk coming across as insincere. Instead, let your reflections flow organically, blending seamlessly into the fabric of your interaction. Using uncertainty to keep them hooked. If certainty breeds complacency, uncertainty fuels obsession. Imagine receiving a text from someone you admire: "Had such a great time today. Can't wait to see you again, maybe." That single word, "maybe," transforms a straightforward compliment into a puzzle begging to be solved. Will they follow through? Or will they leave you hanging? The unknown keeps you guessing, and that uncertainty keeps you hooked. Uncertainty works because it exploits our brain's craving for resolution. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, is released not just during reward but also during anticipation. This means that the promise of something exciting can be just as thrilling as the experience itself. Skilled seducers know how to harness this dynamic, keeping others perpetually curious about what comes next. One way to incorporate uncertainty is through variable reinforcement. Similar to intermittent rewards, variable reinforcement involves alternating between predictable and unpredictable behaviors. Sometimes you'll be warm and attentive, other times, slightly distant or playful. This inconsistency creates a roller coaster effect, oscillating between highs of closeness and lows of longing. The result? An emotional investment that grows stronger with each cycle. Another tactic is to use ambiguous statements that invite interpretation. For example, instead of saying, "You're amazing," try, "There's something about you that I can't quite put my finger on." Such phrasing leaves room for imagination, encouraging the other person to fill in the blanks with their own hopes and fantasies. Over time, these half-formed ideas solidify into beliefs, shaping how they perceive you. However, beware of leaning too heavily on uncertainty. While it can heighten attraction, excessive ambiguity may lead to frustration or mistrust. The goal is to keep the other person intrigued, not confused. Balance is essential. Offer enough clarity to maintain trust, but retain enough mystery to sustain curiosity. The symphony of attraction. As we bring this chapter to a close, consider the interplay of these psychological triggers. Scarcity creates desire, mirroring fosters connection, and uncertainty sustains intrigue. Together, they form a symphony of attraction, each note resonating with the human psyche in profound ways. Yet remember, dear reader, that these tools are neither inherently good nor evil. They derive their moral weight from the intent behind their use. Employ them to enrich relationships, deepen understanding, and inspire mutual growth. Avoid using them to manipulate or exploit, for such actions erode trust and tarnish reputations. Attraction is both an art and a science, a delicate dance between logic and emotion, strategy and spontaneity. Master these triggers, and you'll find yourself wielding a power greater than mere charm. You'll become a magnet, drawing others toward you not through force, but through the irresistible pull of authenticity and insight. So step boldly onto the stage of human connection, armed with the knowledge to orchestrate hearts and minds. The world awaits your performance. Chapter 6. The Seduction Blueprint. Imagine standing at the edge of a grand theater, the curtain drawn back just enough to reveal the stage. The lights dim, the audience hushes, and you step forward, not as an actor following someone else's script, but as the director of your own masterpiece. This is what seduction truly is, a carefully choreographed performance, where every gesture, word, and moment builds toward a crescendo of connection. But unlike a play, this drama unfolds in real time, with no rehearsals and no second chances. In this chapter, we will lay out the seduction blueprint, a step-by-step guide to constructing romantic tension that crackles like electricity, crafting a first impression so indelible it lingers long after the encounter ends, and closing the deal by securing not just commitment, but devotion. These are the three pillars of seduction, each one essential to creating a bond that feels inevitable yet exhilarating. Let us begin. Step-by-step guide to building romantic tension. Romantic tension is the invisible thread that pulls two people closer together, weaving anticipation into every interaction until the air between them hums with unspoken desire. It doesn't happen by accident, it's built deliberately, brick by brick, through a series of calculated moves designed to heighten attraction and deepen emotional investment. The foundation of romantic tension lies in proximity and withdrawal. Picture a magnet: when you push it too close, it repels; when you pull it away slightly, it draws back with greater force. Human attraction operates on the same principle. Start by establishing intimacy, leaning in during conversation, brushing hands accidentally, or sharing a private joke. Then, create distance, step back momentarily, shift focus elsewhere, or leave something unsaid. This push and pull dynamic keeps the other person guessing, their curiosity piqued and their interest amplified. Next, layer in playful teasing and flirtation. Teasing is the spark that ignites chemistry, provided it's done with warmth and respect. A light jab about their quirks: "You're such a perfectionist, I bet your coffee order has 6 modifications," paired with a knowing smile signals affection rather than criticism. Flirtation takes this further, using double entendres, lingering eye contact, or suggestive comments to hint at deeper intentions. The key is subtlety. Leave enough ambiguity for them to interpret your words however they wish, fueling their imagination. Finally, escalate gradually. Romantic tension thrives on progression, so introduce physical touch incrementally. Begin with non-threatening gestures, a hand on the arm, a pat on the back, and slowly increase the level of intimacy. Transition from casual touches to more deliberate ones, like holding hands or resting your palm against theirs during a shared laugh. Each step should feel natural, building upon the last until the boundary between friendship and romance blurs seamlessly. Throughout this process, remember the importance of timing. Rushing ruins the rhythm, patience preserves it. Allow moments of stillness to punctuate the escalation, giving both parties space to absorb the growing connection. Like a symphony, romantic tension requires pauses as much as crescendos. Crafting the perfect first impression. They say you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and while clichés often oversimplify, this one holds undeniable truth. The initial moments of any interaction set the tone for everything that follows, shaping perceptions and expectations before a single meaningful word is exchanged. To craft the perfect first impression, start with confidence. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's the quiet assurance that you belong exactly where you are. Walk into a room with purpose, shoulders relaxed but posture upright, eyes scanning the space with calm curiosity. Smile genuinely, letting your expression convey openness and warmth. Your demeanor should whisper, "I'm here, and I'm worth noticing." Next, focus on authenticity. People can smell insincerity from miles away, so resist the urge to put on a persona. Instead, showcase your true self, the quirks, passions, and vulnerabilities that make you uniquely you. Share anecdotes that reveal glimpses of your personality, whether it's a funny childhood memory or a recent adventure gone awry. Authenticity fosters trust, and trust lays the groundwork for attraction. Equally important is active listening. Too many people treat conversations as opportunities to talk about themselves, but seduction begins with making the other person feel valued. Ask thoughtful questions, nod attentively, and respond with empathy. When they speak, lean in slightly, signaling that their words matter. By doing so, you position yourself as someone who sees and appreciates them, a rare quality in today's fast-paced world. Lastly, pay attention to details. Notice small things, the color of their shirt, the way their voice softens when discussing a passion project, the subtle nervous habit they exhibit under stress. Drop these observations casually into conversation later, proving that you were paying attention. Such attentiveness creates a subconscious association. Being around you makes them feel seen and understood. Closing the deal, securing commitment and devotion. Building romantic tension and crafting a stellar first impression are crucial steps, but they mean little if you fail to seal the deal. Closing the deal in seduction doesn't involve high-pressure tactics or ultimatums, it's about guiding the other person to a point where commitment feels like their idea, not yours. The first step is to solidify emotional intimacy. Beyond physical attraction, lasting relationships are built on deep emotional connections. Open up about your dreams, fears, and values, inviting them to do the same. Vulnerability breeds closeness, transforming fleeting infatuation into enduring affection. Be careful, though, reveal too much too soon, and you risk overwhelming them. Instead, pace your disclosure strategically, matching their level of openness. Once emotional intimacy is established, reinforce it with consistent effort. Small, thoughtful gestures go a long way in demonstrating reliability and care. Send a text reminding them of something they mentioned in passing. Surprise them with their favorite snack or playlist. These acts of kindness may seem minor, but collectively, they build a reservoir of goodwill that strengthens your bond. When the time feels right, introduce the concept of exclusivity indirectly. Rather than demanding labels or declarations, frame your relationship as naturally evolving. For example, instead of saying, "Are we official?" try, "I love how easy it feels to be with you. It's like we've known each other forever." Such phrasing nudges them toward viewing you as irreplaceable without triggering defensiveness. Finally, secure devotion by becoming indispensable to their happiness. As discussed in earlier chapters, emotional dependency plays a role here, but it must stem from mutual support, not manipulation. Celebrate their successes, comfort them in times of need, and consistently show up as someone they can rely on. Over time, they'll come to associate joy and security with your presence, making the thought of life without you unimaginable. The art of completion. As we conclude this blueprint, reflect on its components: tension, impressions, and closure. Each phase flows seamlessly into the next, forming a cohesive strategy for seduction. Yet remember, dear reader, that no plan survives contact with reality unchanged. People are unpredictable, and flexibility is paramount. Adapt to their cues, read their responses, and adjust your approach accordingly. True mastery of seduction lies not in rigid adherence to rules but in understanding the underlying principles. Use this blueprint as a guide, not a script. Trust your instincts, stay attuned to the moment, and above all, remain authentic. For when you combine knowledge with sincerity, you become unstoppable, a force of nature capable of inspiring love, loyalty, and devotion. So take these tools and wield them wisely. Build bridges, ignite sparks, and watch as hearts open to welcome you home. The stage is yours. Chapter 7. The Digital Age of Seduction. Imagine scrolling through your phone late at night, the glow of the screen casting soft shadows on your face. Your thumb hovers over a notification, a new message from someone who's been occupying your thoughts. You open it, heart racing, and read their words. They're playful yet thoughtful, teasing but sincere. In just a few lines, they've managed to ignite a spark that feels almost electric. How did they do it? Was it magic? Or was it something far more calculated? Welcome to the digital age of seduction, where attraction has migrated from dimly lit bars and crowded parties to the cold, sterile glow of our devices. This is a world where algorithms curate potential partners, emojis replace facial expressions, and text messages serve as both weapons and bridges. It's a landscape fraught with opportunity and peril. Here, we'll explore how online platforms have revolutionized the art of seduction, examine how social media molds modern desire, and uncover the strategies for wielding influence through digital communication. Let us dive into this brave new world. The rise of online attraction manipulation. Once upon a time, seduction unfolded in real time, face to face. Today, much of it happens behind screens, mediated by technology that amplifies certain aspects of human interaction while obscuring others. This shift has given rise to what I call online attraction manipulation, the deliberate use of digital tools to shape perceptions, control narratives, and steer emotions, all without ever meeting in person. The internet offers unprecedented access to information about others. A quick scroll through someone's Instagram feed reveals their interests, habits, and even insecurities. Savvy seducers exploit this transparency, tailoring their approach based on insights gleaned from profiles and posts. For instance, if you notice someone frequently sharing travel photos, you might casually mention your own wanderlust or ask for recommendations on destinations. Such personalization creates an illusion of effortlessness, making them feel understood before you've exchanged more than a handful of messages. But the digital realm also introduces challenges unique to its medium. Without body language or tone of voice to convey nuance, misinterpretations abound. A well-intentioned joke can come across as sarcastic, a compliment may seem insincere. To navigate these pitfalls, successful online seducers learn to master the art of textual subtext, embedding layers of meaning within seemingly simple exchanges. Punctuation, word choice, and timing all play crucial roles in shaping how your message is received. For example, consider the difference between saying, "Hey, smiley face," versus, "Hey." The former exudes warmth and friendliness, while the latter feels neutral, perhaps even indifferent. Similarly, responding immediately to a message signals eagerness, whereas waiting a few hours adds an element of mystery. These microdecisions accumulate, forming a portrait of who you are, or at least, who you want them to think you are. How social media shapes perceptions of desire. Social media isn't just a tool for connection, it's a stage where we perform curated versions of ourselves. Every post, like, and comment contributes to a narrative designed to project desirability. And because humans are hardwired to compare themselves to others, these performances profoundly shape how we perceive attractiveness, and how we strive to embody it. Take Instagram, for instance. Its visual nature prioritizes aesthetics above all else, encouraging users to present idealized snapshots of their lives. Filters smooth imperfections, captions frame experiences in the best possible light. Over time, this constant exposure to polished images warps our standards of beauty and success. We begin to equate desirability with perfection, chasing unattainable ideals that leave us perpetually dissatisfied. Yet paradoxically, social media also provides opportunities to stand out amidst the noise. Those who understand its mechanics can leverage it to enhance their allure. Posting strategically, sharing content that highlights your passions, humor, or intellect, creates a multidimensional persona that resonates beyond superficial appeal. Engaging authentically with others' posts, rather than simply liking them, fosters genuine connections, transforming passive followers into active admirers. Moreover, social media allows for controlled vulnerability, a tactic that balances strength with relatability. Sharing a candid story about overcoming adversity or expressing gratitude for life's small joys invites empathy without oversharing. Followers interpret such moments as signs of authenticity, strengthening their emotional attachment to you. The key is moderation. Too much vulnerability risks appearing needy, while too little makes you seem distant. Ultimately, social media shapes desire not only by influencing how we see others but also by dictating how we wish to be seen. Understanding this dynamic empowers you to craft a digital presence that aligns with your goals, whether that's attracting romantic interest, building professional relationships, or cultivating a loyal following. Texting and digital messaging strategies for influence. If social media sets the stage, then texting and digital messaging are the scripts that bring the performance to life. These platforms offer unparalleled convenience, but they also demand precision. One poorly worded message can derail an entire conversation, while a cleverly crafted exchange can deepen intimacy faster than weeks of in-person interactions. To wield influence through text, start with tone calibration. Unlike spoken language, written communication lacks vocal inflections, leaving room for ambiguity. Combat this by choosing words carefully and using punctuation deliberately. Exclamation points inject enthusiasm, "That sounds amazing," while ellipses create suspense, "I had no idea you were so talented." Emojis act as emotional shorthand, adding context where needed, but used sparingly. Overloading texts with smiley faces dilutes their impact, making you appear less serious. Next, embrace strategic ambiguity. Just as uncertainty heightens attraction in person, it works wonders in digital conversations. Leave some things unsaid, prompting the other person to seek clarification or fill in the blanks. For example, instead of stating outright, "I miss seeing you," try, "It's funny how quiet my days feel lately." Such phrasing invites interpretation, sparking curiosity and engagement. Timing is another critical factor. Responding instantly to every message conveys eagerness but risks diminishing your perceived value. Conversely, delaying replies excessively can frustrate or alienate. Aim for a rhythm that mirrors theirs. If they respond quickly, match their pace; if they take longer, reciprocate accordingly. Introduce occasional pauses to build anticipation, especially during flirtatious banter. A delayed response paired with a teasing remark, "Sorry, I got distracted thinking about earlier," keeps them hooked. Finally, don't underestimate the power of visual storytelling. While words form the backbone of digital seduction, images and videos add depth and texture. Sending a photo of a sunset with the caption, "Reminded me of our chat yesterday," creates a tangible link between your shared experiences and the present moment. Voice notes, too, can humanize your interactions, allowing your recipient to hear the cadence of your voice and pick up on subtle emotional cues. Navigating the digital labyrinth. As we wrap up this exploration of digital seduction, let us acknowledge the dual-edged sword of technology. On one hand, it democratizes access to connection, enabling us to reach people across vast distances and cultural divides. On the other hand, it strips away the richness of face-to-face interaction, forcing us to rely on fragmented signals to gauge emotion and intent. To thrive in this environment, you must adapt without losing sight of authenticity. Use social media to showcase your best self, but resist the urge to fabricate a false identity. Craft messages that resonate emotionally, but avoid manipulative tactics that erode trust. Above all, remember that digital seduction is merely a prelude to real-world connection. The ultimate goal remains forging meaningful, lasting bonds. So step boldly into the digital arena, armed with the knowledge to navigate its complexities. Build bridges with words, captivate with visuals, and inspire with authenticity. For in this age of endless possibilities, the most powerful tool remains unchanged: the ability to make someone feel truly seen, valued, and desired. Chapter 8. Advanced Tactics for Elite Seduction. Imagine standing at the edge of a chessboard, each piece representing a facet of human psychology. The game is set, the stakes are high, and every move you make must be calculated, not just to capture territory but to dominate the mind. This is the realm of elite seduction, where ordinary charm gives way to extraordinary strategy. Here, we delve into the advanced tactics that separate amateurs from masters, the psychological dance of push and pull, the cunning use of reverse psychology, and the forbidden techniques wielded by history's greatest seducers. These are not tricks, they are tools of precision, designed to unlock the deepest chambers of desire. Let us step into this arena of mastery, where subtlety reigns supreme and every action carries layers of meaning. Prepare yourself, dear reader, for what lies ahead will challenge your understanding of attraction and elevate your skills to an unparalleled level. The psychological game of push and pull. At its core, seduction is a delicate balance, a seesaw of proximity and distance, intimacy and independence. Mastering the push and pull dynamic means learning how to oscillate between these extremes in a way that keeps the other person perpetually intrigued, never quite sure whether they're winning or losing the game. The pull phase involves drawing someone closer through validation, attention, and displays of interest. It could be as simple as complimenting their intelligence during a conversation or leaning in slightly when they speak, signaling that you value their presence. These moments create a sense of connection, making them feel seen and appreciated. But here's the secret: the real power lies in the push. After pulling them in, you gently create space, whether by shifting focus to something else, teasing lightly, or even stepping back emotionally. This withdrawal triggers a fear of loss, prompting them to chase after the connection you've momentarily withdrawn. For example, after sharing a heartfelt moment, you might say with a playful smirk, "You know, I don't usually open up like this, maybe I should keep my secrets to myself next time." The key to executing this dynamic effectively is timing. Too much push without sufficient pull can come across as aloof or disinterested. Too much pull without any push risks appearing desperate. The rhythm should feel natural, almost imperceptible. Think of it as a dance: one step forward, two steps back, always keeping them guessing about your next move. This technique works because it taps into the principle of scarcity. When someone feels they're on the verge of losing something valuable, your attention, affection, or approval, they instinctively work harder to secure it. But beware, overuse can breed frustration. Balance is essential. Alternate between warmth and detachment in ways that feel organic, ensuring the other person remains engaged rather than alienated. The role of reverse psychology in attraction. Reverse psychology is one of the most potent yet underutilized weapons in the seducer's arsenal. By encouraging someone to do the opposite of what you truly want, you activate their innate resistance to control, making them believe they're acting independently. In essence, you manipulate them into thinking they're seducing you. Consider the classic example: instead of pursuing someone directly, you act indifferent or mildly uninterested. You might casually mention, "I'm not really looking for anything serious right now," or joke, "Honestly, I think relationships complicate things more than they're worth." Such statements plant seeds of doubt, triggering their competitive instincts. If they perceive you as unavailable or unimpressed, they'll instinctively strive to prove otherwise. Another application of reverse psychology is framing rejection as a compliment. For instance, if someone expresses hesitation about committing further, respond with, "You're right, it's probably better if we slow down. Not everyone is ready for someone like me." This subtle jab strokes their ego while simultaneously challenging them to rise to the occasion. Suddenly, walking away feels less appealing than proving you wrong. However, reverse psychology requires finesse. Overplay your hand, and you risk coming across as manipulative or insincere. The goal is to nudge, not shove, to guide their behavior subtly without arousing suspicion. Use this tactic sparingly and only when you're confident in your ability to read the other person's emotional state. Misjudging their readiness can backfire spectacularly, leaving you worse off than before. The forbidden techniques of the master seducers. Now we enter the shadowy depths of seduction, the domain of techniques so powerful they border on taboo. These methods are not for the faint of heart, they demand discipline, self-awareness, and a willingness to walk the fine line between influence and exploitation. Yet when used responsibly, they can achieve results no ordinary approach could match. 1. Emotional anchoring. Emotional anchoring takes the concept of NLP, explored earlier, to its zenith. Instead of associating random stimuli with positive emotions, master seducers anchor specific feelings to particular moments in the relationship. For example, imagine creating a ritual, perhaps a shared song, inside joke, or unique greeting, that becomes synonymous with joy and excitement. Over time, this ritual becomes a trigger, evoking those same emotions whenever it's invoked. Even years later, hearing that song or recalling that joke can transport them back to the intensity of your bond, reinforcing their attachment to you. 2. Strategic vulnerability. While vulnerability is often praised as a cornerstone of authentic connection, elite seducers deploy it strategically, revealing only fragments of their true selves at carefully chosen intervals. Each disclosure serves a purpose: to build trust, deepen intimacy, or provoke curiosity. For instance, sharing a personal struggle early in the interaction can humanize you, making you appear relatable and trustworthy. Later, hinting at unresolved pain or hidden desires adds layers of mystery, compelling the other person to dig deeper. 3. Controlled chaos. One of the most daring techniques involves introducing elements of unpredictability, or controlled chaos, into the dynamic. This could mean showing up unexpectedly, changing plans last minute, or behaving in ways that defy expectation. The goal is to disrupt their sense of stability, forcing them to recalibrate their perception of you. Humans crave predictability, so when faced with uncertainty, they become hyper-focused on regaining control. In doing so, they inadvertently invest more energy into deciphering, and pursuing, you. 4. The double bind. A double bind occurs when you present someone with two options, both of which lead to the outcome you desire. For example, you might say, either we go out tonight and have fun, or we stay in and talk all night. I'm good either way. Regardless of their choice, you win. They feel empowered by the illusion of decision-making, while you maintain ultimate control over the situation. This technique exploits our cognitive biases, particularly the tendency to prefer choices framed as mutually beneficial. Walking the tightrope of mastery. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on the sophistication of these advanced tactics. The psychological game of push and pull keeps others perpetually intrigued. Reverse psychology flips the script on traditional courtship, and forbidden techniques allow you to operate on a higher plane of influence. Together, they form a toolkit capable of unlocking doors that would otherwise remain closed. Yet with great power comes great responsibility. These strategies are not toys to be played with recklessly, they are instruments of precision, requiring ethical consideration and emotional intelligence. Always ask yourself, am I using these techniques to enrich the lives of others, or am I exploiting their vulnerabilities for selfish gain? True mastery lies not in domination but in empowerment, in creating connections that uplift and inspire. So take these lessons and integrate them thoughtfully into your repertoire. Practice patience, hone your instincts, and above all, remain grounded in authenticity. For in the end, the mark of an elite seducer isn't the number of hearts they conquer, it's the depth of the bonds they forge. Step confidently onto the stage of human connection, armed with the knowledge to captivate, influence, and transform. The world awaits your brilliance. Chapter 9. The Ethical Dilemma of Manipulative Seduction. Imagine standing at a crossroads, the path ahead shrouded in fog. One road leads to mastery over others, where you hold the reins of influence, steering hearts and minds with precision. The other veers toward authenticity, a journey defined by mutual respect, transparency, and genuine connection. Both paths promise power, but only one ensures integrity. This is the ethical dilemma at the heart of manipulative seduction. Where do we draw the line between influence and control? And how can we navigate this treacherous terrain without losing ourselves, or harming others, in the process? In this chapter, we will confront uncomfortable truths about the darker side of seduction. We'll explore the fine line between persuasion and manipulation, examine how to recognize when someone is attempting to exert undue influence over you, and discuss ways to reclaim authenticity in relationships. Let us embark on this introspective journey, for understanding ethics is not just an intellectual exercise, it's a moral imperative. Where to draw the line, influence versus control. To influence is human. From parents guiding children to leaders inspiring followers, influence permeates every aspect of our lives. It becomes problematic only when it crosses into coercion, the act of forcing someone to act against their will or better judgment. In the context of seduction, the distinction lies in intent and execution. Influence respects autonomy. It seeks to inspire, guide, and empower, leaving the final decision firmly in the hands of the other person. For example, sharing your passions enthusiastically might spark curiosity in someone else, encouraging them to explore new interests. This form of influence enriches both parties, fostering growth and shared experiences. Control, on the other hand, disregards autonomy. It employs tactics designed to override free will, often through deception, guilt-tripping, or emotional blackmail. A classic example is gaslighting, where someone distorts reality to make another doubt their perceptions. Such behavior erodes trust, damages self-esteem, and creates imbalances of power that are difficult, if not impossible, to repair. The challenge lies in recognizing when influence tips into control. Ask yourself these questions: am I offering choices, or am I dictating outcomes? Do my actions align with mutual benefit, or am I prioritizing my own desires at the expense of theirs? Would I feel comfortable explaining my methods openly if confronted? If the answers lean toward selfishness or secrecy, you've likely crossed the ethical boundary. Remember, true seduction thrives on reciprocity. When both parties feel valued and respected, attraction deepens naturally, without the need for manipulation. How to recognize when you're being manipulated. Manipulation is insidious because it often masquerades as kindness, charm, or concern. Those skilled in its art cloak their intentions so effectively that victims may not realize they're being controlled until it's too late. To protect yourself, you must develop a keen awareness of red flags and patterns indicative of manipulative behavior. One common tactic is love bombing, where someone overwhelms you with affection, attention, and gifts early in the relationship. While initially flattering, this barrage of positivity serves a darker purpose, creating dependency. Once they've secured your loyalty, they gradually withdraw their efforts, leaving you scrambling to regain their approval. If someone showers you with excessive praise before you've had time to truly know each other, proceed with caution. Another hallmark of manipulation is guilt-tripping. Phrases like, "If you really cared about me, you'd," or "I've done so much for you, and this is how you repay me," shift the focus from their actions to your supposed shortcomings. These statements are designed to make you question your worth and compliance, ensuring you bend to their demands. Pay close attention to inconsistencies in their behavior. Manipulators often employ double standards, expecting unwavering devotion while failing to reciprocate. They might demand honesty from you but evade direct questions themselves. Or they could oscillate between warmth and coldness, keeping you perpetually off balance. Finally, watch for attempts to isolate you from friends, family, or support networks. By cutting you off from external perspectives, manipulators gain greater control over your thoughts and emotions. If someone subtly discourages you from spending time with loved ones or dismisses their opinions as irrelevant, alarm bells should ring loud and clear. Recognizing manipulation requires vigilance, but it also demands courage. Confronting such behaviors can be daunting, especially if the manipulator has ingratiated themselves deeply into your life. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Seek validation from trusted confidants, and don't hesitate to distance yourself from toxic dynamics. Reclaiming authenticity in relationships. Authenticity is the antidote to manipulation. It strips away pretense, exposing raw, unfiltered truth. Yet in a world obsessed with perfection and performance, embracing authenticity can feel revolutionary. How do we cultivate real connections amid the noise of superficiality? The answer lies in three core principles: vulnerability, communication, and boundaries. 1. Vulnerability. True intimacy stems from shared vulnerability, the willingness to reveal your flaws, fears, and dreams without fear of judgment. Opening up invites the other person to do the same, creating a safe space for honest exchange. However, vulnerability must be reciprocal. Sharing your deepest secrets only to receive indifference or exploitation signals an imbalance that cannot sustain a healthy relationship. 2. Communication. Clear, open communication forms the bedrock of any authentic connection. Instead of relying on subtext or mind games, express your needs and expectations directly. Use "I" statements to convey feelings without assigning blame. "I feel hurt when plans change last minute," and actively listen to their responses. Effective communication fosters understanding, reducing misunderstandings that often lead to conflict. 3. Boundaries. Boundaries are non-negotiable limits that safeguard your well-being. They communicate what you will and won't tolerate, establishing parameters for acceptable behavior. Setting boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out, it means inviting them in under conditions that honor your values. Be firm yet compassionate when enforcing them. Consistency reinforces their importance. Reclaiming authenticity also involves letting go of societal pressures to conform. Social media, peer expectations, and cultural norms often dictate unrealistic standards of beauty, success, and romance. Resist these influences by defining your own metrics for happiness and fulfillment. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your uniqueness rather than trying to mold you into something you're not. The path forward. As we conclude this exploration of ethics in seduction, let us return to the crossroads mentioned earlier. Will you choose the path of manipulation, seeking short-term gains at the cost of long-term consequences? Or will you embrace authenticity, forging connections rooted in trust, empathy, and mutual respect? The decision is yours alone, but remember this: the most enduring relationships are built on solid foundations, not quicksand. Manipulation may yield temporary victories, but it inevitably leads to isolation and regret. Authenticity, though challenging, offers lasting rewards, deeper bonds, greater self-awareness, and a legacy of integrity. So step boldly onto the path of authenticity, dear reader. Shed the masks, silence the scripts, and dare to show up as your true self. For in doing so, you not only transform your relationships, you transform yourself. And isn't that the ultimate goal of seduction? Not to conquer, but to connect. Not to deceive, but to discover. Not to manipulate, but to matter. Conclusion. Mastering the forbidden science. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on the journey we have taken together. From the hidden psychology of seduction to the advanced tactics of elite influence, we have ventured deep into the labyrinth of human desire, a realm where science meets art, strategy intertwines with emotion, and power dances delicately with responsibility. You now hold in your hands the keys to unlock one of humanity's most enigmatic forces, attraction. But as you stand at the precipice of mastery, it is imperative to ask yourself, not just how you will use these tools, but why. For true wisdom lies not in wielding knowledge, but in knowing when and why to apply it. Mastering the forbidden science. Final thoughts. Seduction, in its purest form, is neither inherently good nor evil, it is neutral, like fire or water. It can warm or burn, nourish or drown, depending on how it is harnessed. What separates the master from the manipulator is intent. The former seeks to elevate, inspire, and connect, the latter exploits, dominate, and control. As you integrate the principles outlined in this work, whether it's leveraging scarcity, crafting magnetic charisma, or navigating the digital age of attraction, remember that mastery is not about perfection. It is about progress, balance, and purpose. Attraction operates on universal laws, yet each interaction remains deeply personal. No two people are alike, no two moments identical. This unpredictability is what makes seduction both an art and a science. To master it requires adaptability, empathy, and self-awareness. Be willing to read between the lines, listen beyond words, and observe without judgment. Seduction is not a one-size-fits-all formula, it is a living, breathing process that evolves with every heartbeat. And so, as you step forward armed with newfound insight, carry with you this truth: the greatest seducer is not the one who bends others to their will, but the one who inspires them to become their best selves. True seduction transcends mere conquest, it transforms. It leaves both parties richer, wiser, and more whole than they were before. How to use these techniques responsibly. With great power comes great responsibility, a phrase often repeated, yet rarely internalized. The techniques you've learned here are potent, capable of shaping emotions, altering perceptions, and influencing decisions. But they must be wielded with care, lest they harm those you seek to attract, or worse, corrode your own character. Responsibility begins with introspection. Before employing any tactic, ask yourself, am I using this technique to enhance connection, or am I seeking validation at the expense of another? Does my approach honor the other person's autonomy, or does it undermine it? Would I feel comfortable if someone used the same method on me? Ethical seduction respects boundaries. It acknowledges that while attraction can be cultivated, consent cannot be coerced. Never confuse persuasion with pressure, charm with coercion, or admiration with entitlement. If someone expresses disinterest, accept it gracefully. Persistence has its place, but obsession breeds toxicity. Moreover, resist the temptation to over-rely on strategies. While frameworks provide structure, relationships thrive on authenticity. Over-engineering interactions risks turning seduction into performance, leaving both parties feeling hollow. Instead, let your techniques serve as guides rather than scripts. Trust your instincts, stay present, and allow genuine connection to unfold organically. Finally, consider the ripple effects of your actions. Every word you speak, every gesture you make, leaves an imprint, not only on the other person but also on the collective fabric of human interaction. Choose kindness over cleverness, sincerity over spectacle, and patience over haste. In doing so, you contribute to a world where relationships are built on trust, not trickery. The balance between influence and genuine connection. At the heart of ethical seduction lies a paradox, the tension between influence and authenticity. On one hand, seduction involves guiding emotions, shaping narratives, and steering outcomes. On the other hand, it demands vulnerability, transparency, and mutual respect. Striking this balance is no easy feat, but it is essential. Influence becomes problematic when it prioritizes manipulation over mutuality. When you focus solely on achieving your desired result, you risk losing sight of the other person's needs and desires. Seduction should never feel like a transaction, it should feel like a collaboration, a shared exploration of possibility. Genuine connection, meanwhile, requires surrendering some measure of control. It means embracing uncertainty, accepting imperfection, and valuing the journey over the destination. Authenticity doesn't mean revealing everything all at once, it means being honest about who you are, even as you grow and evolve. To strike this balance, cultivate emotional intelligence. Learn to recognize not only the signals others send but also the motivations behind them. Develop active listening skills, practice empathy, and remain open to feedback. Above all, prioritize long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. A relationship built on genuine connection may take longer to develop, but it will endure far longer than one founded on fleeting allure. A parting reflection. As we bring this journey to a close, I leave you with a final thought: seduction is ultimately a reflection of who you are. Your ability to attract others mirrors your capacity to understand yourself, the light and the shadow, the strengths and the vulnerabilities. By mastering the forbidden science of seduction, you do more than unlock the secrets of attraction, you uncover the depths of your own humanity. So go forth, dear reader, with confidence tempered by humility, ambition balanced by compassion. Use what you've learned to forge connections that transcend superficiality, relationships that withstand the test of time. And remember, the ultimate act of seduction is not convincing someone to love you, it is becoming someone worthy of being loved. May your path be illuminated by wisdom, guided by integrity, and enriched by authentic connection. The stage is set, the curtain rises, and the world awaits your masterpiece. Before we part ways, allow me to share one last whisper, a truth carried forward from the ages. the most magnetic force in the universe is not charisma, confidence, or charm. It is sincerity. When you approach others with an open heart, a curious mind, and a genuine desire to connect, you become irresistible, not because you've mastered the science of seduction, but because you embody its highest purpose. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and share it with others who are hungry for change. And for those of you looking for something extra, check out our channel membership for exclusive content and perks tailored just for you.